Good evening from the farmer's garden. I'm one of the farmers and I'm in the house tonight. So there's a lot of information swirling around about chicken feed and egg prices, and the feed is bad and the eggs are bad, and all kinds of stuff swirling around. And I can't answer those questions, but I do want to address a couple of the misunderstandings that we're seeing a lot of this year regarding the egg prices and how chickens lay eggs and stuff like that. I'm not going to try to solve this problem. A lot of people are saying definitely it's the feed. It's got to be the feed. It's, from the government down. Everybody, I don't know. Um, I cannot say what the issue is, but I'm just going to address a couple of the misunderstandings that we're seeing this year. Um, so, the first thing I want to hit on is what we call Little House on the Prairie farming. And this is basically when people read historical fiction or watch shows or whatever, and they think that that is how farming is still done. This isn't a new thing. I grew up on a little farm. My dad had less than 30 cows, and one year when it got cold, one of my mom's friends was like, "Oh, you have to go home and put all your cows into the barn and get them warm, right?" And mom's like, "No, we don't put them in the barn." And the friend was like, "Oh, well, I like in all the bucks, that's what they do." Yeah, but that's not really how we do things. So this isn't a new thing, and it's not necessarily even a bad thing. I mean, heck, half the history facts I can bring to mind came from historical fiction books. The problem is when people watch TV shows or read books, or whatever it is that gives them these ideas of how farming goes, and they think that that is factual, that is definitely how things work, and they don't actually go past that and research and see how things actually work. For example, the cows in East Texas don't all go into a barn. If we were in Minnesota, when snow came, we probably would move all of our cows into a barn. So there's some truth to it, but it's not true in East Texas. It's not true here. It's not true across the board. And the same thing is going for a lot of these misunderstandings that we're seeing with chickens. And I think a lot of it is coming just from what people believe is good information, but it's not, or it's dated, it's old information. And so that's kind of what I want to look at tonight. That's what I want to address and try to clear up this evening. Okay, so the main things I want to cover, I want to mostly clarify how chickens behave in the winter in general. So again, Little House on the Prairie farmers, people who have read books and they're like, "Oh, that's how farming works." A lot of historical fiction, one of the things that they do, the whole romantic notion is, "Oh, we went out and we found the first little egg of spring hiding in the nest box, and we carried it carefully into mother. Look, mother, our first egg that we've seen in months." This is historically accurate, but it is not present day accurate. The breeds of chickens that we have now did not exist even 100 years ago. Some of them did, but not as we know them. So for example, the red star hens that we raise, that lay our beautiful brown eggs, they can lay 280 to 300 eggs a year. Even if they only lay 280, that means that they only took 85 days off. Now, most chickens can only lay 6 eggs a week because of the actual cycle of how the egg is formed. It takes just slightly over 24 hours to form the egg. So most chickens take a day off. There is one day that they don't lay an egg. And there's always people, "Oh, I only have one chicken and I get 2 eggs." I can't explain that, but I will tell you scientifically, it takes about 24 hours for the process to go from little tiny ovum all the way through, add the white, add the shell, add the bloom, and out the egg, out of the chicken. Slightly over 24 hours. So if our hens are laying even 280 eggs a year, and 52 of those, I'm sorry, if they're laying 280 eggs a year, that's 85 days they didn't lay. 52 of those days were just their day off for each week. That does not give them the whole winter off, okay? Chickens, as we know them, the breeds that we have now, are developed to lay eggs. Now, there's still some really old breeds and some like game bird breeds and some fancy chickens that are more for pretty, and they will take some time off in the winter. And so if you've got Polish hens or you've got feather-legged bantams or whatever, some of those are not bred to lay as many eggs. But when we purchase our eggs, when we order our chickens, when we order them, we go for the ones that say better layers or excellent layers, meaning they're going to lay the most eggs each year. Those chickens, the breeds that we have outside right now, have been developed to lay as many eggs in a year as they possibly can. And that means our breeds that we have on this farm don't take the winter off. They're not as light dependent. They're not temperature dependent. The Red Star specifically, man, those dudes were laying during Snowmageddon. We were out there collecting eggs. We lost more eggs to freezing inside our refrigerator than we did to the chickens not laying them during Snowmageddon. They lay when it's hot. They lay in the winter. They lay in the summer. This breed is developed to lay eggs. So when you read those books, you watch those shows, and they talk about, we're going to go out and find the first little egg of spring. And a lot of people think that's true. And it used to be true. But again, we're not working with those same breeds these days. Our breeds now have been developed to lay eggs year-round. The other thing that we're hearing a lot of is, oh, they're just getting older. They're getting older. Again, I'm not trying to solve the whole issue of why so many people are getting fewer eggs this year. I'm not trying to solve the issue of why egg prices went up all over the country. But I will tell you, chickens should not molt until they are at least 18 months old. Should not. Some of them wait longer than that, but they should not molt until they're at least 18 months old. Molting is the first time that a chicken will slow down. It's when they shed all their old feathers and they're getting new feathers, and they're going to take the energy that they're getting from their food and they're going to focus that energy on getting new feathers. Molting is not specific to chickens. Songbirds molt, geese molt, all birds molt. They have to shed out those old broken feathers and get new ones. And a chicken is just not going to be laying as many eggs during that time because they're focusing on getting those new feathers in. They're sending their energy, their food, to that other process. Our chickens that we have out there right now are just now a year old. We were probably bringing the order home one day this week a year ago. They're just now 1 year old. We actually had several of those hens molting during December. We blamed genetics. We thought, okay, we used a different hatchery this year. Their genetics just aren't as good as what we've used in the past. We blamed water, because if a chicken doesn't have water, they won't lay an egg. So we completely changed our watering system. We said they're not getting enough water, completely changed that. We changed so many things. I'm going to show y'all what our eggs did this winter. All right, these are our egg records. This was for 2001. So all of these records are for 2001. December, October, November, December. And over here we could see how many we were picking up. We had roughly the same number of hens this month, or this year, 2001, as we did through 2002, and then all the way to what we have now. So last January, we picked up a total of 675 eggs. This January 2023, we picked up 631 eggs. So 631 eggs from 675 eggs. Now that might not seem like a lot to you, but out of the same number of hens, there should not be that big of a difference from month to month. And the same thing can be said, 662 eggs in February. We haven't finished picking up eggs, but we're not going to get to quite that number in February. December of 2001, doesn't look like we ever actually finished adding up how many we got, but we would have been getting somewhere close to these numbers in here, and we just didn't get that this year. December, we picked up 315 eggs. 315 eggs. Look at these numbers in here. And we've got marks in here where we thought, okay, their water is cold. That's why we're not getting eggs. All the things. Because we went from an October number of 886 to a December number of 315. Do you see that that doesn't make sense? Now, I realize I'm just another person telling you that I didn't pick up as many eggs as I normally do. And I know that's everywhere right now. And I know a lot of people are, I mean, there's conspiracy theories. It's the government. It's this, it's that. It's so many things. I can't explain what happened. I will tell you that we swapped which brand of feed we were using in about the middle of November. We wrote it down. This is the day we swapped food. We did it because we're trying to keep our prices down, and this other brand was just slightly cheaper per pound. But as far as the actual nutrition facts went, it was supposed to be basically the same feed. So we switched, and within 2 weeks of switching, our numbers went from 35-ish eggs to 13. Just like crashed. We got as low as 9 eggs that we were picking up in December out of 35 hens. That's not normal. That's not normal for, it's not cold weather. It's not light. It's not any of those things. With the breeds that we have, they should have continued to lay through the winter. And we looked at, like I said, we considered genetics. We considered our water. We considered lighting, because we are in a different coop from last year, but the lighting is not that different. We looked at so many different things that normally affect egg lay, and we did not find any correlation. And of course, we didn't think to blame our feed, because again, the nutrition facts were there. It was supposed to be the same thing as what we had been buying. But I will tell you that we slowly started to get an increase. About the middle of December, it ticked up slightly. January, it started going up. We have now switched back to the other feed that we were on. About 2 weeks ago, we switched back. Tonight, we picked up 30 eggs out of 36 hens. I don't know. I don't know if there was a mistake somewhere, and when they caught it, they corrected it, and that's why the feed is doing better now. I don't know if, I don't know. I do not know. I cannot explain that. But I will tell you, and this is the whole purpose of this whole long video, be careful where you get your information about how food is raised. Again, Little House on the Prairie farming. It's what you've read about. It's what you've seen. It's what you imagine farming to be like in your mind. But most of the time, it is perhaps historically accurate. Perhaps it was accurate at one time, but it is no longer true. We no longer fight having no eggs in the winter because of the dark or the cold or whatever. We just have better breeds than that now. It's not a thing that we deal with. What is going on? I don't know. I'm not going to attempt to solve that problem. But I will tell you that when people say they're not getting as many eggs this year, it's not a joke. They really are getting fewer eggs. Really, something as simple as switching the feed has helped some people. It's really weird. But our chickens are just cold. They're not just afraid of the dark. It really is a thing. It really is a thing because the breeds are better than that now. Anyways, I hope I made some sense tonight. I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed your visit. Be sure and tell your friends about us and come back when you can stay longer.